Thank you all so much for being here today. Uh, just good morning. It's a bright, beautiful day. It's raining, but I love it. And just want to introduce myself very quickly. My name is Susanna Mikulin, and I'm the very proud CEO of the Greater Fayette Community Foundation. I've had this privilege of serving as CEO for the past 5.5 years. It's crazy. But during that time, I've really seen firsthand the incredible strength and innovation that exist within our rural communities. And I'm so, so grateful that you're all here today as part of this informational session about our community impact program and the grant cycle. And so, whether you are a returning applicant or exploring partnership with us at the foundation for the first time, we welcome you all. So before we get into the details of the grant process, I just want to take a few minutes to ground us in who we are as a foundation, what we believe in, and why this work really truly matters so deeply to us. Okay, next slide. So today's session has three primary goals. First, we want to introduce you to GFCF's Community Impact Program and our collaborative community-driven grant-making model. And then we'd like to highlight the three funding opportunities available through our community impact funds. Those are the Red Door Fund for Mental Health, the Green Door Fund for Workforce Development and Education, and the Rural Community Health Fund. And then finally, we'll walk you through eligibility requirements, the funding priorities, timelines, and the application process itself, so that you leave here today feeling informed and prepared. We really hope that this webinar helps you makes you feel like this process is really approachable. We know that grant applications can sometimes feel intimidating, especially for smaller organizations or volunteer-led organizations. But truly, one of our goals here at GFCF is to reduce those barriers wherever possible and create a process that's really rooted in partnership rather than gatekeeping. So throughout this presentation, we encourage you to place any questions that you have in the chat so we can address those towards the end or even connect with you personally afterwards. We just want to make sure that your questions are answered. So please do not hesitate to add any questions you have throughout in the chat, and those will be addressed. So next slide. So before we really continue, I want to briefly pause and introduce the incredible leadership team behind this work. Our community impact program is deeply collaborative, and it truly takes a village to steward this process well. So today, you'll hear throughout the presentation from our Senior Director of Community Impact, and that's Jamie Lee Manning. She leads the day-to-day strategy and implementation of the program and will truly be your point person as you navigate through the application process. We're also very fortunate to work alongside some incredible strategic partners, which includes Dr. Bill Moore of the Strategy Group and Crystal Grimes with AMA Services and Heal Alliance. They both bring such tremendous expertise in the rural community engagement space and system levels impact and all of that work. And then we have Ashley Parks, who are Senior Director of Community Impact. She helps lead outreach, communications, and the relationship building across all of the communities in our region. And of course, Nikivia Miller, who supports our communication strategy and the storytelling work that we do and helps amplify the rural voices and ensures our message is really remaining grounded in community experience. And both Ashley and Nikivia, that's why we're asking, how did you find out about us? How'd you hear about us? Because I can guarantee you it's the work that they did behind the scenes to make sure that you were aware of this webinar. So I thank you very, very much for that. So together, well, and then there's me as well, but together, this team truly helps the whole grant making process. And it reflects not just the organizational priorities, but the actual voices and needs and lived experiences of the communities we serve. And we work all together to do so. So next. So at GFCF, everything we do is rooted in our mission. To inspire charitable action, foster collaboration, empower organizations that strengthen the communities in our rural region. You guys. Our vision is truly to look ahead to a vibrant, inclusive, rural Central Texas where every individual has an opportunity to thrive and contribute and feel a deep sense of belonging. This mission and this vision, it guides every grant we make, every partnership we pursue, and every initiative that we launch. We aren't here to lead from above. That's something we really believe in. We're here to walk alongside the communities and lift up what's already working, what you're already doing. And next. And that really is rooted in our values. And our values, we live them at every level of this foundation. First and foremost, we are community led. And that means that residents and grassroots leaders and those most affected by local issues, they have a seat and a voice. That's very important. They have a voice at the table. We're also inclusive by design. We strive to eliminate barriers for funding for rural and often overlooked and historically marginalized organizations and communities. And we recognize that equity requires intentionality. So we are truly grounded in trust-based philanthropy. It's not just a trend for us. It's a commitment to share power and simplify process and build authentic relationships that are rooted in mutual respect. Because when we say community driven, and we say it a lot, but we truly mean it. Our job here at the foundation is to listen first and listen deeply and invest in what the communities tell us they need and not the other way around. And next. And while we proudly carry the Fayette name, our service area is far broader than just one county. We actively serve in 19 counties across rural central Texas, and those are focused in 9 primary counties, which are shown in the teal color here, the green color, and then our secondary counties that are shown in the blue on the outskirts. And our goal is to be a reliable partner in the places where larger philanthropic institutions often don't go, where capacity is high but access is low. And by working with grassroots groups, we help communities identify their own needs and their own solutions. Our grants and our partnerships are truly designed to build trust and spark collaboration and uplift what's already rooted in place. Okay, next. So this slide is you're kind of getting a sneak peek here of our 2025 impact report, but this slide highlights both our approach and the real world results of our community impact program work. Our commitment to empowering rural communities in Central Texas through our community-led and community-driven philanthropy, our approach centers on empowering local leaders to lead local change. And we like to say we don't just fund programs, we fund possibilities, innovations, and relationships. And this slide here shows where the 39 grants from our 2025 community impact funds were distributed, with investments totaling $343,900 across all 19 counties. So from health equity in Caldwell to workforce readiness in Hayes to mental health access in Bastrop, we're truly committed to strengthening the rural backbone of Texas. And this impactful data right here reflects your voices, your partnerships, and your work. And it shows what's possible when community leadership is not just respected, but when it's resourced. So as you can see, GFCF's mission and our values and our regional focus, they're all centered on one core belief. And that's real lasting change begins with the people who live and lead in their communities every single day. And that's y'all. And whether you're from Bastrop or Fayette or Fort Bend, we are here to listen and to learn and to walk alongside you. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our incredible Senior Director of Community Impact, Jamie Lee Manning, and the rest of our team, who will guide you through the details of this work and this grant opportunity and highlight some key updates for this year's cycle. And again, I just welcome you so much for being here. I'm so grateful you're here. Please do not hesitate to put your information or any questions you have throughout this webinar in the chat, and we will make sure to address those for you. So Jamie Lee, take it away.
Awesome, Susanna. Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. It's so great to have you here. As Susanna said, I have the distinct pleasure of helping really guide and shepherd the community impact model here at the Greater Fayette Community Foundation. Before we jump into the individual funds, I want to really ground us in why this work matters. Rural communities face unique challenges around mental health access, transportation, workforce opportunity, housing stability, and health and well-being. At Greater Fayette Community Foundation, we know that solutions already exist within communities, and our role is to help resource and strengthen those local efforts through partnership and through trust-based grant making. And how we do that is that these funds are not directed by me or one person in the organization. They are guided by an amazing community impact advisory councils and are made up of local leaders, residents, educators, faith-based leaders, advocates, community members from across our rural region. And they help really shape priorities, review applications, and ensure funding decisions reflect real community voice and lived experience. And so you can see on the slide here, we have the three funds. You can distinguish them by the color. We have the Red Door Fund for mental health. We have the Green Door Fund for Workforce Development and Education, and we have the Rural Community Health Fund. And so we have an amazing group of leaders who launched their work in March and will be with us over the next year to really guide this community impact process. Go ahead. So these three funds work together to support the overall health and well-being of rural communities. The Red Door focuses on reducing disparities in mental health services. The Green Door Fund focuses on workforce readiness and economic opportunity. And the Rural Community Health Fund focuses on a broader social drivers of health and community well-being. While each of the fund has different focus, all three are rooted in community leadership, collaboration, and long-term rural impact. There you go. So we're going to take an opportunity to dive in with each of the funds. So we're going to start with Red Door. The Red Door Fund supports projects that reduce disparities in mental health services across our region. The fund prioritizes accessible community-based approaches that increase support, reduce stigma, and strengthen well-being in rural communities. The grant requests range from no minimum request amount to up to $5,000. We encourage organizations to request what they truly need to move their work forward over a 12-month process. So to really go deep into the Red Door funding priorities, this priority expand access to providers. This priority focuses on increasing mental health support and services in rural communities. And some examples could be peer support programs, mobile mental health counseling, school-based mental health services, grief support groups, or creative arts therapy programs. The second priority is increase awareness and education. This priority really supports the efforts that build understanding, reduce stigma, and increase mental health awareness. Examples could include suicide prevention programs, workshops, mental health awareness campaigns, youth resilience programming, or community conversations. The third priority is improve affordability and navigation. This priority focuses on helping residents better access and navigate mental health care systems. Some examples of this priority could include transportation support for therapy appointments, bilingual resource guides, navigation specialists, or online resource hubs. The fourth is strengthen community support. This priority really supports the healing and wellness within everyday community spaces. And this could include support groups, wellness gatherings, caregiver support, or trauma-informed community initiatives. So those are the funding priorities for the Red Door Fund for mental health. And now we want to transition to give an overview of our Green Door Fund for workforce development and education. The Green Door Fund focuses on workforce readiness and economic opportunity across rural communities. The fund supports practical, community-based solutions that help people access opportunity while addressing barriers that impact long-term stability and well-being. Grants for the Green Door request range from no minimum request amount up to $10,000. So for the Green Door funding priorities, the first one is strengthen regional collaboration. And this priority supports partnerships that strengthen workforce systems and reduce duplication across communities. Examples could be nonprofits, schools, employers, and local governments creating coordinated workforce pathways. The second is vocational and job skills training. This priority focuses on expanding workforce skills, certifications, excuse me, and employment readiness. Examples could be a welding certification program, healthcare career training, CDL training, construction apprenticeships, or technology skills programs. The third priority is youth entrepreneurship. This priority supports leadership development and entrepreneur opportunities for young people. Examples could be a business incubator, mentorship programs, student-run businesses, leadership development, or entrepreneurship camps. The fourth and final priority is the focus on reducing barriers and across systematic barriers, access to systematic barriers. And this priority focuses on reducing barriers that prevent people from fully participating in the workforce. So this could include transportation assistance, childcare support, housing stability efforts, all integrated and focused on integrated workforce and mental health support. And so I think a couple of examples could be a strong project might pair workforce coaching with transportation assistance or childcare support. So it's really kind of the comprehensive support of the addressing the systematic barriers to workforce. So now we're going to move into the Rural Community Health Fund. The Rural Community Health Fund invests in people and places of Central Texas by advancing health and well-being through community-led solutions, leadership development, and systems-level innovation. The fund is rooted in a commitment to uplift vulnerable and historically marginalized rural communities and support residents facing significant barriers to health, well-being, and opportunity. We recognize that health is shaped more by the health care alone. Factors like housing, transportation, food access, economic opportunity, social connection, education, and community safety all impact overall well-being. Applications will be asked to identify one or more social drivers of health connected to their project and explain how their work helps address those conditions within their community. The grant request for the Rural Community Health Fund for this 2026 cycle, the minimum amount requested is $10,000 and the maximum amount award investment is $50,000. These funds currently only serve Bastrop, Caldwell, Hayes, and actually it's all of Williamson counties through partnership as an intermediary through the St. David's Foundation. And wanted just to say before we go into the priorities is that if you have been a part of our launch or our application system in years past, you'll note that for the range of investment is a little bit different this year. We're looking to go deeper and with a higher investment. And so just wanted to note that for anyone who has been a part of our process in years past. So we're going to go all the way to really talk about the 5 Rural Community Health Fund priorities. The first one is engage and empower residents. This priority supports resident-led efforts that strengthen community voice, participation, and local problem solving. So examples of projects could be listening sessions, neighborhood wellness initiatives, resident-led food access efforts, or local health engagement projects. The second funding priority is build community leadership. This priority invests in emerging rural leaders and grassroots leadership development. So examples could include leadership training cohorts, mentorship programs, grassroots organizer training, or youth-led leadership initiatives. The next priority is strategic innovations. This priority supports creative approaches and pilots projects designed to improve health and well-being. So examples could include a pilot transportation, a model, a mobile health outreach unit, innovative mental health approaches, or community-designed wellness programs. The next funding priority for the Rural Community Health Fund is nonprofit capacity or formation. This priority supports emerging organization and rural leaders building infrastructure and long-term sustainability. So examples of these types of projects could be fiscal sponsor support, nonprofit startup coaching, strategic planning, board development, capacity building around leadership and coaching. And the final one for the Rural Community Health Fund is a participatory grant making. And this priority supports resident-led decision-making and community-driven approaches to funding and resource distribution. So an example is community members helping review and recommend grant applications, neighborhood-led mini grant programs, resident advisory councils, youth-led funding committees, or local groups all deciding how a small pools of money of funding are distributed to address community priorities. So the grant would be given to an organization or a resident-led network with a fiscal sponsor, and that money then would be reinvested back into the community in small mini grants. So that is the all of the Rural Community Health Fund priorities. So I just went through all of this really fast. I would just encourage you, if you have specific questions, please remember to put those in the chat. We will have an opportunity here in a second to dive deep into questions, and anything that we're not able to address today, I will be following up with an email from this session with clarity around anything that we haven't been able to address. So one of the key pieces of our funding cycle is to really ground applicants into the eligibility of our grant making cycle. And so we have designed this process to be, as Susanna said, as accessible to both established nonprofits and emerging community groups. So organizations can apply directly as a 501c3 in good standing, or partner with a fiscal sponsor such as a church, school, or nonprofit organization. We also have the opportunity this year to partner with an amazing organization called 212 Catalyst, who's worked with us and many intermediate organizations to really support fiscal sponsorship. So if you're a community leader that is not connected to a nonprofit, you're doing amazing work to address community needs at the grassroots level or in the trenches, and you would love to apply for funding, that is not a no. We just have to connect you to a fiscal sponsor who could support your project over the next year. So we also welcome collaborations and coalitions because many of our strongest rural solutions happen through partnership. So one of the important shifts this year, and I want to be very clear about this, is that we, through the council's recommendations and conversations, want to focus our funding on prioritizing smaller grassroots and community-based organizations. And so what we've done is we've identified through the councils an organization operating budget threshold. So organizations with operating budgets over $500,000 are generally not eligible, though there are some exceptions for specific community serving programs or sites, including schools, faith-based organizations serving the broader community, or organizations applying on behalf of a smaller program or local site. So just want to kind of ground us on what we mean by grassroots. When we say grassroots, we mean community-led, locally rooted efforts that are often volunteer-run, relationship-based, and deeply connected to local needs. So we are also ask all applicants to affirm our shared commitment to dignity, equity, and inclusion. Funded organizations must ensure their programs, services, and employment practices welcome all lived experiences and do not discriminate based on race, ethnicity, gender, religion, age, national origin, ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or any other protected characteristics. So it's a checkbox that you'll have through what you'll see when you apply is before you get into the application, there is an eligibility checklist, and all of the key components that we just discussed will be asked. And if you are cleared, you'll be asked to then move into the application portal, and we can clarify any questions people have at the end of this session. So, want to just say a few important reminders. We do not fund individuals, political activities, or programs requiring adherence to a specific religious belief. Organizations can apply to multiple funds, but only receive one grant per cycle. So your organization could apply for all three or two of the funds, but only one grant per cycle. So that is, we had last year, we had a handful of people that applied for all three, but you can only receive one grant per cycle. And this year, we also are including again the ability for applicants to provide a short video with a URL link to help bring your story and project to life. We know so many of us are starting to really figure out storytelling through social media. So if you have a short video that really brings your project and organization to life, we would encourage you to add that a part of the application. So we're going to talk about tips for a strong application. The strongest applications really connect to the project, to funding priorities, to explain work in plain, simple language. We want you to be able, very briefly, with clarity, to say what your project is, who it impacts, the partners and collaborations, and ultimately what you would like to get out of the 12-month year opportunity through the investment. We encourage applications to center community voices. We want to understand who shaped the project, who benefits, and how the community is involved. If you're not a 501(c)(3) organization and you have a project aligned with one of the funds, we encourage you to reach out. We may be able, and we will be able to connect you to a fiscal sponsor or a community partner to support your application. And finally, want to just talk a little bit about the importance of gathering key documents starting now and not waiting until the application portal opens the 1st of June. So there are some key documents that we want you to prepare early or to identify. Start working on your project summary, your project budget. We do ask for an organizational annual budget of your organization, and then all the financials, such as the IRS 990, or if you're below 50,000 or less, your IRS postcard or your fiscal sponsor agreement. And we also do ask for your board and leadership information. So take it from me. We've had applicants wait to the last minute and they didn't have the right forms. And so there was a lot of back and forth. So if you do have questions about any of this from now until the end of June, I will be on the road, accessible for virtual. We can do calls, any way that you can get in touch with me through email. I will be available to answer any and all questions that you have about any of the key documents that we are requesting through our process. Go ahead. So now on the screen is the fund timetable. You will be getting a recording of this, and all of this is also included on our website and in our grant guidelines. Applications open June 1st and close June 30th at 5 p.m. So from now, which is May 6th, until June 30th, I would encourage you to be thoughtful and diligent about ensuring that all your questions are answered, that you're able to submit before the deadline. And please don't wait, because it can get stressful at the very end for you and for us when applicants wait to the last minute to submit their applications. And if any challenges occur, we want to be able to address those in a timely manner. July will focus on the review and advisory council evaluations. Notifications on who received the grant investments will go out on August 21st, and the grant term begins in October. We also want applicants to know that we will offer feedback sessions for any organizations who are not funded. And that's an opportunity for us to be as transparent as possible of why an application wasn't pushed through for investment, to one, help you on potential future applications that you do with other foundations or intermediaries. Just an opportunity for us to provide some key feedback from your proposal per the council's suggestions of why an application did not get funded. So that's the fun timetable of all the things that happen between now and October. So steps for applicants. All right, so we will be hosting in-person workshops in office hours across, I think it's 4 or 5 counties, to help applicants ask questions, to strengthen your ideas, to be a sounding board, to navigate the process. Because I or no one at the foundation is reviewing and assessing where the money goes and the investments, that's all of the individual councils. I am here to be a sounding board to help you think through ideas, to review any drafts that you might have. I want to be as helpful as possible to make you as competitive as possible with your application that you'll be submitting on June 1st. So please don't hesitate to reach out. We truly want this process to feel supported and accessible. We know that grants can be stressful, can be time consuming. We really want to make it as clear and as accessible as possible. So now we want to transition into the Q&A. And at this point, we'll pause and open up a space for questions. Before I pass it off to my colleague Ashley, he's going to share more about an awesome initiative that we're going to be doing over the course of the next year called Empowering Rural Voices Initiatives. So before we go into questions, let's we'll pause on there. So I know that we have Susanna, we have Crystal and Bill, and I think Ashley all looking at questions. So I would love it, Susanna, if you can start off, if there's any questions that might be grouped kind of in a themes or trends, and we'll go from there. We're at 10:36, so I think we should have enough time.
Awesome, great, thank you. And again, as these questions arise, please do not hesitate to put those in the chat, even as we're talking through them now. We're here to help in any way. But Jamie, just kind of wanted to go over the questions that have been put in there, and thank you, Bill, for kind of responding to a few as they've been coming in. But just for the general group and everyone, can you give a bit of more examples for the Red Door Fund and for the Green Door Fund? Just some examples that those applicants may be able to get investing and funding for.
So you're talking about just examples of currently who we funded.
Yes,
So
or what could be available.
So in Red Door, one of the projects that we funded through the Schulenburg ISD is that we've been able to support their bringing on and training of therapy dogs. We have two what I'm like Magic
And Birdie.
and Birdie. So they actually were hired and trained. I mean, it's just amazing what those two dogs are able to bring to the student body. So that's just one, I think, creative example of a red door. So we have focused, so for Green Door, a lot of our projects have been supportive of actual certificates. I keep saying this.
Certificate.
Certificates for welding programs or culinary programs that are happening through our local ISDs or regional ISDs. So those are two projects. We have one project that's focused on computer skills for young people, really getting them prepared for the workforce by providing them access to computer skills over the course of a year in their individual programs that happen within schools. So those are a couple of projects. Anybody else, Susanna, do you have any that come to mind? Those are a
Well,
couple that stood out for me as some
yeah,
creative
those are definitely
examples.
some standouts, but we just encourage you to, again, if you have an idea or have questions about the eligibility of what you're doing, your work, and where it would be best suited and best as far as one of the funds, we encourage you to reach out to us and we can definitely be a thought partner through that with you. And so just thank you for that question. We're open to just hearing your thoughts. So, a couple of other questions that have come through and have been kind of grouped together. Jamie, if you could just kind of reiterate for those who maybe don't necessarily have their nonprofit status yet, but they have they have their designation, but they don't have their nonprofit status. Can you talk a bit more about the organizations that would need to use a fiscal sponsorship and how that process can be facilitated?
Yeah, so if you are an organization who is in the process of getting your 501(c)(3) or is doing grassroots work and never honestly want to get your 501(c)(3), we do have a partnership with 212 Catalyst to sponsor 3 applications. So timing is, I think, important. So if that applies to you, you have an idea, you're doing a project, you want to do a project over a year, but you do not have a 501(c)(3) status and you never want to have one, that's okay. We want to talk to you and get you connected. So what happened is that we would have a conversation, go into more detail about what the project is, just some parameters around the project, and then I would make an introduction to 212 Catalyst, or if we exceed the 3 partnership opportunities at 212, we have an opportunity. We have other intermediary organizations who particularly have in the past said that they would help sponsor one of our projects. So we don't want that to be a barrier for anyone. So please reach out to me. You will have my information in the grant guidelines, my email address. So reach out to me and let me know, and we can start those conversations now versus waiting until the last minute, which is more difficult to process all of those conversations that need to be set before you're able to apply through a fiscal sponsor.
Mhm. Yes, thank you. And just to reiterate what Jamie says, please don't wait. We want to help as much as we can, but there are things that can take a little bit longer. So the sooner that we can have that conversation with you, the better. So we can connect you if with 212 or a organization that would be better suited to be a fiscal sponsor for you. We want to start having those conversations now as opposed to maybe a week before the application is due. But the sooner the better with that question. So thank you for that one. And then, so we did have a question as far as our past grantees go. So be it Red Door, Green Door, Rural Community Health Fund, if they have completed reporting requirements, can they apply again for this grant?
Yes, so if you have not been communicated to that there's been any issues, everyone that has received a grant with us is eligible to apply again. Those organizations, as mentioned earlier, there are some organizations that have received 3 years consecutive grants for us. If you are in that category, you would not be able to receive funding. You have to wait a year, and then after that year, able to go back and apply for funding through the community impact. So yes, everyone in my stand up that has been an applicant is in good standing and is available to apply again this year.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you for that. A great question. Does an organization need to have a physical site in the county they are hoping to serve?
Yes, so you could have an Austin address. We do not provide um, grants to the Austin, city area. But if you had a nonprofit that had an address in Austin, but you're doing work in one of the counties of our service area, totally eligible to apply.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And some other questions are rolling in, kind of all similar to that. Here's a good one. If an organization receives funding directly from St. David's Foundation, are they still eligible to apply for the Rural Community Health Fund or other grants through the GFCF?
Yes, you are.
And again, if you have any unique questions, we do encourage you to reach out and ask us those questions. Someone asked if you can set up a meeting with us either by phone or by Zoom. So absolutely, you will receive this recording and the slides from this recording afterwards. So you can have that information, but please do not hesitate to reach out to Jamie, to myself, anyone on the team, and we can either meet by phone or we can meet by Zoom. And as Jamie mentioned, she is going to have a lot of in-person time in each of the counties, and I really encourage everyone to take advantage of that. And just being in person can get so much more questions answered in a real time. So that's a really helpful resource that we're providing as well.
It
Uh,
is. And I'll just say, Susanna, because I get such an influx, let's all start over email. So if you can connect with me over email first, that just gives me an opportunity to organize. When I start getting calls, I'm on the road so much and out of the office. So I don't mind getting calls on my cell phone, but please, if you could initiate the connection through email, and then that would allow us to find the best mode of whether we meet in person, we do a Zoom, or we have a phone conversation, which I'm open to all three. So email is the best mode to introduce a question or ask for availability regarding time to meet to discuss your project.
yeah. Awesome. And so I'm going through the questions, and I think a lot of them have either been answered directly in the chat or by you, Jamie, through the discussion. So thank you all again. And if you have any more, please reach out to us. Yeah, I think that covers that area. So thank you.
So I do want to have Ashley pull up the website so we can in real time go over together what you are going to be seeing and where the application portal and all of the grant guidelines are. So Ashley is going to pull this up right now.
My screen is lagging.
We're having a little bit of a delay here, their internet.
There we go.
Okay, so this is the homepage of the Greater Fayette Community Foundation. You will want to ensure that you're going here and then making sure that after this, and there's a slide too, there's a QR code that basically will take you to the Facebook page that we have. All communication will be through Facebook. Because we have your email now, you'll be on an email list that we will be emailing out everyone who's been a part of this launch process through email. You'll see on the header here, it says community impact, which kind of gives you an overview of our community impact model that we just went through over the last 40 minutes. And then each fund has a portal page. Each portal page has, if you can go down, Ashley, you can see a background. This will give you a list of how much money and how many organizations we've invested in. This gives you a list of last year's projects that were invested in, give you more information about the funding priorities. And so you're going to see on each of the portal pages, there's two places. There's one review grant guidelines in the kind of the mid-center under the priorities. And if you go down to the very bottom of the page, you will see both the grant guidelines, and we have for each fund, we have frequently asked questions and key concepts. At the end of the week, around May 22nd, we also are going to be updating an application addendum, which will give you more insight around the questions that are being asked, another request to get all of your documents, financial documents in order. But it will be a guide to the actual overview of each of the applications. So every single fund of the three has a web portal page. So the red door for mental health, the green door for workforce development, and the Rural Community Health Fund all have a portal page. All will have a link. Once we go live on June 1st, where will the link be?
It can be found on each individual page.
So the link to the portal to apply can be found on each individual web page portal and will also be on the collective community impact. So just wanted to make sure that we were showing you in real time where to find the resources, and we will be in constant communication with anyone who is interested and has signed up for this webinar. We're going to be emailing you from now diligently until the applications are due June 30th. So let's go back to, and on the website too, you'll see the in-person sessions. There might be, slight changes. So always go back to the website or to the Facebook portal, and that's where you'll find all the communication. Here's stay in the know, follow us on Facebook. And then here's the Greater Fayette Community Foundation website link. So all of this too will be included into the recording that will be sent out in the next day or so as a follow-up to this webinar. Okay. All right, so the last and final thing that we want to be able to let you know about is I want to turn it over to my colleague Ashley Parks, who is the Senior Director of Community Impact. She's going to share more about the Empowering Rural Voices initiative and how you can continue to connect, and we're looking to deepen our community partnerships and engagement across the region. And I'm going to pass it over to her, and then you'll hear from me just one or two reminders, and then we'll close out the webinar. So I'll pass it off to Ashley.
I'm gonna,
Me.
okay.
Okay.
Technology at its finest. All right, can everybody hear me okay? Awesome. So my name is Ashley Parks. I'm the Senior Director of Community Engagement here at the Greater Fayette Community Foundation, and I have the privilege of working with Ray Langlois as a consultant with us. Ray is on this call. Him and myself are going around our 19 counties and listening to the voices. As you heard from Susanna a lot earlier in this webinar, we are very community centric. We are very community led. We, as the staff, like to say a lot of times, we do not make the decision. We do not do the things. The community tells us what to do. And so a part of my role this year, and with my help with Ray, we will be going into communities and listening and learning either individually with organizations or in a group setting during some town halls. We are able to do this work through this thanks of the Hogg Foundation for Mental Health and the Methodist Healthcare Ministries. And so throughout the rest of the year, we'll be getting voices at the table that are not traditionally heard. We want to make sure every community impact fund that we have is being led in our funding is being led to the needs, the true needs of the community. So we are specifically looking to listen to seniors, the agricultural and farming community, organization, or not organizations, but individuals in historically underrepresented communities. Specifically also looking to hear from the Spanish-speaking communities as well, and also youth. As someone who runs the youth group, sometimes kids just want to be heard, and they also have real problems. So yeah, looking to hear from the kids in the upcoming generation as well. So Ray and I have been reaching out to a lot of our past grantees on listening to start listening sessions. But then also we are looking to grow as well. There are a lot of organizations that we do not know in our service area, and we are also looking to learn from the organizations that we don't know. So if you are an organization that's new to the foundation and have not heard much about the foundation, I encourage you to reach out to me. I would love to know more about your organization and what you do, as well as potentially how the foundation can help you and all of that. So the Empowering Rural Voices is grounded in 5 shared commitments, and those commitments are listed here. Community voice leads strategy, equity shapes access, collaboration builds trust, clarity drives action, and sustainability matters. So yes, once again, this is the work that we'll be doing over the next year. And honestly, too, this is me getting on a tangent, I'm sorry. But throughout the beginning of the year, Ray and I were finding that everyone is kind of also doing the same thing right now. So if your organization is doing a listening session or looking to get more data already, we would love to be a partner in that. Yeah, like you can ask Susanna and Jamie, I do not want to duplicate just to be like, oh, the Greater Faith Community Foundation did something. No, we are in this together. Your needs are our needs, and we want to be at the table with you. So yeah, I'm gonna pass it back to Jamie.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashley. So we just want to say thank you so much for your time this morning. We are excited that this is our kind of second full year of really bringing all of the 3 funds that we have under our community impact model together. We love our grantees. We see such depth of impact that's happening across the region with all of our past grantees. And we just want to go on this journey with you. So please let us know what we can do to support your process over the course of the next month and a half. You have every single thing that you're going to need to develop a really clear, concise project proposal. And I'm here, and the rest of the foundation staff is here. And just want to say thank you for your time today. We look forward to connecting with you, reviewing your applications. And finally, I just want to give a shout out to the council members who have signed up to go on this journey with us over the next year. They will be working closely together and collectively and individually to really figure out how we bring to life this next new 2026 community impact cycle. And so thank you so much, and we hope you have a great day.